All right, hey everybody. You know what? This has been a long time since I've done a Q&A because I know this because I was getting on my computer to get everything set up and realized that the last I did sort of a Q&A from the World Series of Board Gaming, which was only 3 weeks ago, I suppose, but it's just been a really busy time. And you know, we talk about busyness here. The period between Gen Con and Essen, Spiel at Essen, is definitely the worst here at the Dice Tower. By the way, hi, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to the Dice Tower. Yeah, so there's that's that really busy frame. The second busiest frame is now between the Spiel and our Kickstarter, which launches or our crowdfunding project, which launches in January. So we have these things, we have so many upcoming things that we're working on. Right now, I'm going on a trip to Thailand in 2 weeks from tomorrow. I'm going to the CMON Expo in Thailand, so I hope to see some of you there. We got the 12 Games of Christmas that we're preparing for, which will be a few weeks after that. The Winter Spectacular, which I'm so excited about every year because I love doing the top 10 lists of the year. So many great games. I mean, and that's discounting all these amazing Essen games, of which I played so many over this weekend. It's just good, it's exciting, and it's good to be back. The hurricane missed us. The tornado did not. So if you have any questions for us, what is it? Is it Canadian Thanksgiving? I will look that up. When is Canadian Thanksgiving? Oh, it's today. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, I apologize, Canadians. I don't really keep track of that holiday, but I know it's a big deal. I knew it more when I lived in Korea because there were so many Canadians in Korea. So it was a bigger deal at that point in time. So anyway, happy Thanksgiving. And thank you for the super chat, Eric. So anyhow, welcome to Q&A. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. We got some other... So you already seen Board Game Breakfast was live today. We're back on our normal schedule. In fact, Week in Review, which had been off for a bit, is back the next Monday. So you'll see Week in Review back. I know a lot of people have been missing that. We got a live play tomorrow. We got a live play on Friday. We got a live play today. That's 3 live plays. We're doing our voting for the worst gamers of all time on Thursday. We haven't done a voting block for a while in which you all are going to vote who is worse, the person who's a sore winner or the person who's a sore loser, the person who licks their fingers when they touch cards or the person who is the alpha gamer. So that's the sort of thing we're going to do and see who's the worst gamer of all. That should be fun. That'll be this Thursday. Crowd surfing, so a lot of different things. We started basically last week a bit, and we're continuing on. Hi, Tom. I've been following your role-playing campaign so far. I was wondering if you have any plans to continue it. I'd love to hear more about where the campaign is headed. Yes, Brett, we are planning to continue it, obviously, with Roy leaving the Dice Tower. That kind of put that up in the air briefly. I'm just going to have to, as best I can, write him out of the campaign. And then we'll continue on the storyline. It might, and I'm using the word might, happen next week. If not, you'll see it in a few weeks after that. It's on the schedule to come back. What do you think about Dominion Rising Sun? I've not played it yet, actually. I've looked through it. I've read all the cards. I just haven't played it yet. Why do you never seem to review fantasy flight games anymore? Well, I do. So let's go to Board Game Geek. And we're going to search for, we're going to do an advanced search here. And I'm going to search for Fantasy Flight games. And then we're going to do games that came out in 2023 to 2024. And let's just see what they've come out with. So Star Wars, a deck building game, we reviewed that. Star Wars Unlimited, I definitely reviewed that and played all the time. Marvel Dagger, I haven't, but the other people here did that. What else is there? There's a bunch of expansions. There's expansions for Arkham Horror. There's expansions for Marvel Champions. There's just a bunch of expansions. I don't know what are we not covering actually, Robin, that you think that we should be, because I wouldn't know. I'm not going to answer the questions. Lars, you just asked if I played some more. We have so many games in. People say, did you play this? Did you play this? Did you play this? Did you play this? We're going to play as many as we can, and we'll talk about them as we play them and review them. We got a lot of reviews going up this week. I just recorded 4 of them already, and we got more coming your way, okay? We're going to play games as fast as we can, but we're just not going to get to all of them as fast as you want. I can't play everything in the first week. I've played so much, but there is so many more. If you saw the place where we store games right now is just overflowing with games. It's never been this full. What's my favorite type of video to record? Reviewing, unboxing, playthrough, other. My favorite video to record by far is the top 10 lists. I love doing those. They're my favorite. After top 10 lists, probably my second favorite is the Q&As that I'm doing right now. Everything else kind of flows together. Have I played Arcs anymore enough to do a review? I don't think I'm going to do a full review of Arcs because it was already on the channel. I'll just give it a short review at some point or other. Shackleton Base, again, I'm not answering about every single one of these, but we have it here at the studio, just so you know. Do you have room for approximately 200-pound piece of luggage when you go to Thailand? Well, I don't know how many games I'm bringing back from Thailand. I do know at least one game I'm bringing back, which I really can't talk about, but I know it's being released there. I'm going to take an extra, basically, empty suitcase and see. I don't think I'll bring back a ton of games from there, but who knows? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I still don't know my entire schedule when I'm in Thailand. Is Dice Tower planning to review all the games you got from Essen? I want to be really clear. We are not going to review them all. We'll review a lot of them. So we'll get them in. We're going to review a ton. We'll send some to our outlier reviewers like Graham and Brian and Jeff, and we'll send them some of the games. But it's kind of a tough thing because we can't send them a game that we think we put in the library. The first thing I did was every game I got, some went in the library, some might go in the library based on us playing them. That's not a negative thing about those games, just some games I know will be hot and go in the library. Wendy's tearing through those as we speak, getting games ready to go into the library. And then we're just playing through them. I definitely go out of my way to pull games from that hot shelf, but I'm also pulling small little games. But guess what? There's just so many. Also, the fact that 800 Kickstarters seem to be delivering right now isn't helping. I can tell you, though, without doubt, we will not play all the games from Essen. How do I know that? Because we haven't played all the games from the last Essen. Now, we do a pretty good job. I think our record is high. We review more games than the next channel, 10 of them combined. And that's very braggadocious, and I don't mean to be braggadocious there, but we just we review a lot, and yet it's not enough. So, Top stock market games, I don't know. I think I made a list one time. I'll have to remake another one at some point in time. When you rate something on BGG and then after a review appears and your rating is different, which one is your more current thought? It's the one when I make the review. I go rate BGG as soon as I play a game. In fact, that's a way you can follow me on Board Game Geek and you'll know what games I play. There's some exceptions. Sometimes I miss games or I forget about a game, but I'm pretty good at rating my board games. I played some over this weekend and I rated those. I wonder if you can sort someone's ratings on Board Game Geek by when they rated them. I don't think you can. Let me look real quick and see if that's a possibility. Go to contributions. No, not contributions. I'm up to 8,901 games. I think before the year's over, I'll have 9,000 played. I have to play 99 more games before the year's over. But it's going to be close. Yeah, I don't think you can rate it by when I ranked the game. So I don't know that you can see my newest ratings. But if you're wondering if I played a hot new game, you don't have to ask me. You can just go look and see if I've rated it. But when I do the review, that's the newest rating. A year later, the rating will be the most current rating because in my look back reviews, I always go back and edit my ratings to match my current thoughts on the game. I never did get around to playing PAX Premier. I'm assuming it's a very good game. I just can't play everything. As you are talking about a tornado hitting you, what do you think of tornado-themed games? What do you think or should not be in a tornado-themed game? I'll tell you this. So the way the tornado worked is, it was 4:45 in the morning. I normally wake up at 5. I get up at 5. My dogs get up with me, dutifully. And what happens is, I go outside. I let the dogs outside. They either go or they don't go. They're very picky. I don't know why. One of the dogs then immediately leaves and gets back and takes my spot in the bed because she loves being in the bed and I'm out and my wife's still there and my dog's like, yes. The other dog follows me and sleeps with me. It sleeps at my feet while I work in the morning for the first hour. Then we get up, my wife gets up at 6, and then we walk both dogs. That's a typical day. So the dogs start licking my face at 4:45 and jumping on me, and I was like, what on earth? It's not time to get up yet. Normally, even if my alarm goes off at 5, there's the occasional day where I'm like, I'm sleeping in. They don't even bother me then. They're like annoyed, like, oh, fine. They were really bugging me. I'm like, why are these dogs bugging me? I heard very strong wind outside. I just assumed it was an offshoot of the hurricane that had been hitting Tampa. And just then so I woke my wife up and I'm like, why are the dogs bothering me? And she was annoyed. And then both our phones went off with a tornado alert. And we were like, whoa, what do we do? Because we don't have tornado alerts. So we got up and we went into the hallway, and we can close all the doors in our hallway. And then there's another door that slides. So we're in like a room with just doors. And we thought about doing that. And I opened the front door and peeked out because I'm stupid. And it was very calm and everything. And I was like, well, let's not wake the kids up. I think we're fine. And that was it. Then I went into work that day. I was the only person in the office because everyone else was resting off Essen. But my kids are homeschooled, so I was just getting out my wife's hair. So I decided to come over to work. I recorded a podcast and da-da-da. I went to the backyard and I was like, part of the fence seems to be down. Almost all the fence is down. My neighbors were out there and I was like, all right. So the tornado had come through, and then my wife told me at home, it went through and hit the house next to us and took out their trees and a water pump or whatever. And so I'm very blessed because that hurricane, had it been over, would have hit both the studio and my house. It hit things next to both of them. So the fence being knocked down isn't a great thing. It is, I still haven't gotten in touch with insurance yet. I've gotten in touch with insurance. They haven't gotten in touch with me. We'll hope that insurance pays for it because, yay, another expense. But it's not the outside fence. It's the internal fence between us and our neighbors, which, again, is not great, but it's fixable. So kind of excited, kind of pleased, like not excited is wrong word, pleased that wasn't as bad as it could be. And so I'll tell you what, though. The tornado was so fast, like a hurricane, there's this sense of dread. You see it come. And the media hypes it up and makes it seem like the worst hurricane ever recorded on the face of the planet Earth or whatever. And you're just all nervous. With a tornado, we just didn't have time. And so I feel for people who have tornadoes hit them. You're just not prepared for them at all. Back to what's in a tornado-themed game, I don't know. This is the only one I've ever experienced. No, I experienced one 25 years ago. 24 years ago. I lived in Pensacola at the time. And I was outside the church, and it was windy and everything, and I was holding my baby daughter, Melody, who's now 24. And it was really windy. I was like, let's go inside. And we went inside. I did something. I heard a crack. We came out, and the front tree of the church I was working at had been ripped out of the ground where I had just been not too long ago. So I am close to tornadoes, but both of them I haven't seen, but I guess I'm okay with that. So anyhow, I can't really help you about what should be in a game, but I think tornadoes are interesting. Can you have Joey do weekly schedules again? Yes. I didn't know he had stopped, so we'll talk about that later, I suppose. Any chance Dice Area read us a list of best new games to try going into player-based cons like BGG Con and PAX Unplugged? It really helped me be lazy with my research. No. BGG has a hotness schedule for that anyway. So I know we're coming close to Board Game Geek Con, which I think is a week or two from now. So have a great time, everyone who's going. But you'll hear the hot games, and we'll review as many of them as we can, like I said. But we're just not going to get to all of them. So I love Scrabble. Is there a modern replacement for that captures the spirit of the original? I've done a game called 7 Games Better Than Scrabble or something like that. But that's several years ago. But that will give you a stepping stone to that. Hi, Tom. With Roy moving on, I was curious if you would share any insights into the process of finding someone to fill his role at the Dice Tower, and how has the search been going so far? Well, at the moment, we're not currently searching for anybody. We are all covering for what Roy did in different ways. Joey's going to be here an extra day. Joey's currently here 2 days a week. Now he's going to be here 3 days a week. And so that's basically what I'm going to do for a few months, and then I might branch out from there. I'm going to consider things, but for now, we're just keeping the ship afloat. So I don't really have any insights to give you or, whatever. It's just, that's what we're doing. Do you ever wish you could see what it's like to attend a Dice Tower con from an attendee's perspective? I believe I have. When I went to Geekway to the West, which I would say is the closest con to a Dice Tower convention, or BGG con. I think both of them are very similar. And I've been to both of those as an attendee, so I know what it's like. I don't know what exactly it's like because I've not been to a Dice Tower con. Robin says, Talisman 5th edition and the new expansion for Unfathomable and Descent Legends of the Dark were not reviewed. So basically just, well, if you look, Robin, we don't review that many expansions in general anymore. We just don't. We have to love the base game to review an expansion. I did not love Unfathomable. I did not love Descent the Legends of the Dark, so I won't review those. Talisman 5th edition, fool me 4 times. I'm not going to review it a 5th time. Go look at my last review of it. I'm sure it's the same. Each edition of Talisman is the same, so I'm just not going to get that excited about that. So we are basically covering all the new Fantasy Flight games. These are not particularly new. Has your family ever joined you in going to a board game convention? Do you think they would enjoy something like Essen? So, not really. I've taken Melody and Amy in the past to Gen Con. My other kids have not really expressed an opinion about going. I've taken the entire family to Dice Tower Cruise and Dice Tower East and Dice Tower Retreat. They didn't go to Retreat, and they barely are at East. They go and mess with the games and go play the dexterity area and things like that. They like the outside stuff, so I don't think they would like Essen at all. I took my wife one time to Essen for one day. She did not particularly enjoy it. She wanted to go do other stuff, so I don't think they would enjoy Essen very much. Was watching older reviews, and I believe you gave Ra a 6.5. Can you explain why that game has jumped so highly to an excellent, perfect game? I don't know. It might be me. Definitely the new components didn't hurt. But yeah, sometimes that just works. Ra has definitely moved up for me as a game that I think is great. It's one of the biggest jumps up for me that has ever been for a board game. There's another top 10 two-player games coming down the pipe. I love the previous two that were done with the different difficulties. I would imagine you will see that next year at some point. I have a huge list of top 10s to do. How does someone become an official remote reviewer for the channel? You can always try and send me an audition review. I haven't had that happen for 6 months, but I got to be honest, I'm also not particularly looking for that. It's not going to be a particularly fulfilling job for you because I can't pay a ton for these videos because they don't bring in much income, so I can't pay a ton for them. And, we're not going to send you a ton of games to review because when they come in the studio, we're usually reviewing them. I prefer my reviewers usually to be in. We have 3 great remote reviewers. We have Graham, Brian Drake, and Jeff. And I'm very content with that at this point in time. And you would have to be like stellar for me to even consider it. How far in advance do you and the team start planning for Dice Tower East? I believe they start 2 weeks after Dice Tower East ends. I definitely know that I have looked at a lot of stuff for Dice Tower East already. In fact, I talked about it a bit today. Is anyone from the Dice Tower going to PAX Unplugged? Eric and Julie from the Dice Tower podcast will both be there. At this moment, that's all who's going to be there. But stay tuned for news in 25. We'll see. What's my favorite way to win in a co-op game? Puzzle, defeat an enemy, etc. It's definitely defeating an enemy. I love defeating an enemy. It's a lot of fun. In the app version of BGG, if you list collection for Tom Vasel, rank modified/descending, it will list last rated, including even adjusted ratings. Well, there you go. Kara has given us the clue on how to do it. Thank you. Birds on Board says, I enjoyed your History of the Dice Tower series. You did a look back on how the podcast evolved into the channel we have today. Any plans to continue the series with the more recent years? Oh, for sure. But it's still a couple years away before I do it. I do it a few years at a time. I like to look back and see how things have changed. I would never want to talk about stuff right when it happens. It's better to look at things with retrospect. How many ruling spreadsheets do you manage with your thoughts? Do you have a pretty simple system to rank them? Do you have to write thoughts at the time, or do you remember 5, 10, 20 years later? I don't know what you mean by that. I think if you're talking about look back, where I look at reviews 1, 5, 10, 20 years ago, I build an actual spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet that I have where I go through each of the games. I look at all the games I did. I look at them. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I think about the game today. I would say the ones from 10, 20 years ago, I often have to go, what is that game again? Sometimes looking at them, but it's not too difficult. I will write a few words to help me remember, but for the most part, I remember pretty easily. In my opinion, says Steve, Bombix has been incredibly consistent with their output. What companies have been consistent for your gaming preferences? There's a lot of consistent companies. Space Cowboys is pretty consistent. So is Repos. So is Days of Wonder. They're pretty consistent for me. I mean, Garfield Games is pretty consistent. There's a lot of companies that are consistent. I would have to think. That sounds like a good top 10 list to do sometime. What is your stance on letting new players join after a game has started? It all depends on how hard that game is to teach and who the player is. That's just, if I am going through a game, a heavy Euro game, and I've just taught the rules, as soon as we start the game, I'm not letting anyone join. Sorry. Unless it's really, really easy to jump in. If I've just explained the rules and we haven't started yet, I still might not let you join the game because I don't want to explain the game again. Sorry. It's just the way it is, sometimes. But that depends on you. If you're someone who's like, I can pick them up as we go, I'm good. But if you need a full explanation and you'll complain that I haven't taught the rules well enough and you're slow at playing, no. Kara says, your last reviewed game was Takoyaki. Yes, that is correct. I believe I put that rating in this morning or last night. I know you love data. I was wondering if you ever had interest in recording your game sessions. Would this be too much work or a burden? I don't like recording that information. I just don't. I don't like recording how many times I played a game. I don't like recording who won or who lost. I don't care about that. For me, games are experiences. I like recording my rankings. I love stats. But specific stats for games, that's meaningless to me. I'm more interested in games as a general course. I know lots of people have board game stats. I'm glad for that, but I don't care. I don't keep track of my wins, losses. I'd probably be depressed if I did. Yeah, I'm fine. I just don't like that. Who introduced Mike to Knizia at Essen? Did he muster up all his courage to talk to him? No, it was actually really funny because we ran into Dr. Knizia. Me and Mike were walking. And so me and Dr. Knizia were like almost doing a little bit of back and forth. I was like, you're following me everywhere. We were in Brazil, the convention. Now you're going to Thailand. He's like, you're following me. And meanwhile, Mike was like, hi. That was basically the conversation. Although I'm sure he talked to him later. Do you think it's important at card-driven war games such as Twilight Struggle that the players get to see every card in their deck for strategy and planning, or randomness is good for variety? I like both. The first time I play, I'm like, oh no, I didn't know you had that card. Wow, that's interesting. If you're going to play like on any competitive level, then I better know that there's that card that lets you take over Cuba in Twilight Struggle. It's good to know the cards. It depends on how competitive you want to be. My top 3 villains and why. I think we did a top villains list at one point on the channel. If you could choose one game to get a fancy new version, like Puerto Rico, Castle Burgundy, Castle Mad King Ludwig, what would you pick? Le Havre. Come on, I love Le Havre. Give me a nice version of Le Havre. I love watching the convention walkthroughs, trying to spy upcoming hidden gems I never heard about. Did you see anything in Essen that you never heard of before but really wowed you? I played a really fun abstract game with magnets. Me and Z just played it. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of it. That I never heard of just by doing the walkthroughs. But for the most part, most of the games I've heard on. Why is Roy moving on? Roy is, if you haven't been following Roy's Facebook profile, he just started an anime store here in South Florida. So you can go check it out if you're ever in Cutler Bay. Well, once it's open. He's currently on his honeymoon. Roy just got married on Friday. Hi, Tom. I noticed you expressed some reservations about trying Blood on the Clocktower. I'm curious, what specifically about its popularity or mechanics give you pause in trying it? Okay, so from a mechanic standpoint, it does seem a little weird to me that there's this giant book, and when you read on it, it has a very high barrier of entry, at least in the way people talk about it. They're like, I'll be running the script with this, and this, and this, and everyone's like, ah. But that's not really why I haven't played it. I haven't played it because the fans of Blood on the Clocktower just have driven me away from it. It's like the only game. It's like a holy game they worship. I know it's very popular now. It's hitting the zeitgeist. I'm seeing all the hot little gaming indie YouTube, different studios in LA. They're all playing it out there together and everything and having a good time. That's fantastic. I'm glad people enjoy it. But I would like to play it with mostly, like, I think to me, my preferred way to play it, if I did play it, would be like to have 20 people, all who also haven't played it before, along with me playing it for the first time. That's how I would do it. Because it just feels like there's this huge meta game that I wouldn't understand going in. But the fans, they're kind of annoying about it, honestly. You know, sometimes that happens. It's like Star Wars fans or other things like, oh, you have to love it. Well, what if I don't? That's impossible. Okay, lots of people are talking about, did you play this game? Did you not play this game? Like I said, I'm not answering very specific ones about that. Am I excited about the Traders expansion for Ra? Not at all, because I don't think Ra needs an expansion. I'll probably try it. Top 10 things you're a good reviewer other than board games. I think people would argue with you that I am not a good reviewer of board games. I like to review TV shows and I like to review food. But I don't know that I'm a good reviewer. You mentioned reviews don't bring in the most views revenue. No, that's not what I said. I said reviews from exterior reviewers don't. They just don't. They don't bring in as much views / revenue. They bring in some, and we're glad that people do them. Don't get me wrong. They just don't bring in as much. You know, I'm trying to do board game content myself. What videos do the best on the Dice Tower? Well, easily our best videos, again, are our top 10. After that is crowd surfing on Wednesdays. And then hot reviews get the most. If you're trying to start a channel, you might as well review some hot games at first. But, and I don't want to go down my long thing. There's a whole, I should do videos sometime about, you want to be a content creator? There's so many things I could talk about in that. And I have in the past, so I won't get into the weeds here on that. Do you consistently win games when you're teaching them to new players? Well, not particularly. Have you ever made suboptimal plays when you're playing with people that are not quite as good as you? Yes. But I don't win often at all. I mean, I lose a lot because I'm just trying weird stuff. I'm trying different things. I'll try different things against experienced people in the game. There are a few people in my life who, when I play against them, I will do everything in my power to beat them and crush them into the ground. But that's like 4 people in the world. When do you judge a game? Is there a category of games that you often judge badly because they're not your style, even if they please a lot of players? Well, that definitely feels like some sort of trap question. If I play a game, I will judge it badly if I don't like it. I will judge it well if I do like it. Doesn't matter if other people like it or not. I might mention it in my review, like I'm sure a lot of people will like it. But, you know, sometimes my review in a game is the popular view. And I'm pretty good about that, actually. If you check the People's Choice reviews that we do every year in the top 100 and my rankings, they're actually closer to mine than anyone else's. But that being said, sometimes I play a game that I don't like or I do like and no one else, vice versa. Example one, I did not like Courtesans at all. Like, I hated that game. And yet, everyone else seems to like it. Go read the comments. People are like, you're wrong. Okay, no problem. I don't mind being on the wrong end of the stick there, but it doesn't change my opinion of it, whether other people like it or not. I didn't like it. I love Vabank. Its Kickstarter did abysmal when it was Kickstarted, despite me loving the game. So that's fine. There's some categories I don't really particularly like that style, but then I very rarely play those games. I very much enjoy watching your live walkthroughs of Essen. You were so kind to people wanting photos. Any characters are particularly memorable because they were funny or asked for crazy poses? I don't think so. Mostly just normal pictures. If that was the case, I wouldn't say it because I don't want to do crazy poses all the time. So, no, I'm glad people come and talk to me. It's nice. With the board game media space feeling pretty saturated, do you think there are any gaps or areas that haven't been filled yet? Yes. Where could new creators bring something fresh to scene? Yes. What is that? I don't know, because if I think of it, I'll do it. I'm always trying to do new things here at Dice Tower. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. Often it does not, but we just keep trying new things here. But there's not like some secret sauce. That's like, what board game mechanism hasn't been done yet? What theme hasn't been done yet? That would be huge. Well, if I knew that, then we would be, I'd make a lot of money. Why do you think there's never been a successful game based on Doctor Who? For the same reason there's not successful games based on a lot of television things. Most of Doctor Who is very episodic. So if you're going to base a game on Doctor Who, you're probably needing to pick one episode or a string of episodes that come together. And there just hasn't been one yet. But I'm sure you can make a game based on that. I don't think IP games in general work very well. What advice would you give new reviewers who are worried about giving a negative review of a game sent to them to a publisher? What are you worried about? I mean, it feels bad. Okay, so here's why you would feel worried. You're going to feel bad. No one likes to say publicly that they think someone's baby is ugly. Most people don't do it. You're going to get feedback from people who tell you you're an idiot for not liking it. We get way more feedback on our negative reviews than we get on our positive ones. Just because people are like, how can you not like something? And they'll tell you clearly, you played it wrong, you're a moron, etc., etc., etc. It's not the game you should play, so on and so forth. And you might be worried about your relationship with the publisher if they sent you a free review copy. So our relationship, we have relationships with all kinds of publishers. It waxes and wanes sometimes. We have a couple publishers who still haven't talked to us in years, right, because of negative reviews. But that's a very tiny number. We have publishers who have cooled talking to us for similar things. But if a publisher is consistently putting out bad games, do you care? And if a publisher is a good publisher, they will roll with the punches. They're not going to be happy about a negative review. Who would be? But then they'll say, well, maybe you'll like the next game. And that's the truth of it. So I don't love it. I don't love going to a convention and talking to a publisher and or designer and or artist who I've said, I don't like your stuff. And I've definitely got emails about such things in the past. But you just got to, if you're honest and truthful, you'll be fine. Hi, Tom. Can you let us know your experience in the last Spiel Essen? I hope you had fun. We did. And we talked about that last week in Board Game Smorgasbord. So go back there and we talked about it a lot. What con will I be attending next? I'll be attending the Simon Con in Thailand in 2 weeks from Thursday, I believe. Did your wife like the wood puzzle? Yeah. She's working on that now. What was my favorite non-game find this year? I found that my kids really like these felt coloring things where it's like a felt surface and then you color in between markers and then you use this glitter glue stuff and you like rub it on top and it just sparkles. They're pretty cool. I got them for my kids and so far 2 of my kids have liked them. How do you organize picking up all those games in Essen? Do you make the list beforehand? I do. And split the halls between you? Sort of. That's about all the information I'm going to give out on how we do it because it's not that, whatever. We just go pick up games. Sometimes games come to us. So there are so many games. You, in my opinion, you should only review games you like and skip those that you don't. No, I cannot tell you how much I disagree with that. You should review games. You should review games you don't like. Because if you only review games you like, you're not giving me any kind of baseline. All I know is that you liked it, you didn't like it. Each game can't be better than the last. I think games are progressively getting better, and I certainly fight against this nonsense of no new good games have come out in 5 years. Balderdash. That is just absolutely pithy, old manism, yell at the clouds. It's insanity, and frankly, you're being stupid when you say that. We don't say that with anything else. I'm like, there hasn't been a good computer since Windows 95. What? So to say that about board games is just being ornery and stuck in your ways, and you're going to run out of gaming opponents because you're just being a jerk. So I don't agree with that. But also, there are good older games, and not every new game is amazing and better than the last one. So you need to point that out. So I think you should do negative reviews. Some reviewers don't. Some very prominent reviewers say we're only going to do positive reviews. That's fine. Do what you want. I don't judge much. I mean, I judge a little, right? But I don't judge much. Do what you want. But if you're starting out, I would say definitely do negative reviews because it's good for you. Is it as fun to do a negative review? No. And I'll be honest, there's sometimes I haven't done negative reviews. I'm like, I don't want to put the effort into this huge game that I don't like. It's just so much work. Why do all that just because it's negative? But I do a lot of negative reviews because, frankly, I still like more games than I don't. I was looking at my 2024 listing, and I like most games I played. But there's ones I don't, so I need people to see that to make a baseline. Because if I like everything, what good am I as a reviewer? As the board game industry continues to grow, so you see that publishers have to work harder for games exposure in past years. Oh my word, yes. Publishers have to work much. Do you see? You have to work much harder for games exposure. 100% yes. Tom, do you remember the video you guys made called The Dice Tower Plays Cinco Linko Extreme? Yes. I remember that. That was one of our first playthroughs, and we were asked to record that, and I was like, well, what can we do? It's an abstract game. They want us to do a full review of this thing. I don't know what to do. And I said, hey, what if we do it WWE style? And so we did. It was fun. I'm going to be in Vegas the last day of Dice Tower West. Can I buy a ticket at the door? Do not know. They might sell out. So don't count on it. It might happen. How does your team balance playing and making content for the latest hotness versus lesser-known indie crowdfunded gems? Well, first of all, you're saying gems as if they're gems. I'll tell you this. If there's a pile of hot games and there's a pile of games that are not hot, right, the indie ones, the chance of me finding a good game in this indie pile is probably 1 out of 10 compared to 1 out of 2. By I mean good, I mean really good, right? It just happens. Now, that being said, while I play all these big name games, I pull out the weird ones too. I try to go back and forth between them. But I have my druthers, I'm playing a hot game. But I'll play the little ones. I just played a few weird ones yesterday with my family. I was like, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, I will definitely lean towards these. Yes, I'm looking for gems in these these undiscovered ones, but they're not all undiscovered gems. Most of them are undiscovered okayness. Thank you, Brett, for the nice words. Unnecessary, but I do appreciate them. Thoughts on Kyle Chandler being picked for Hal Jordan in future DC movies? Okay. I don't really care that strongly. We'll have to wait and see. Now, people are saying all kinds of nice things. Thank you, John. Luke, what was the nicest thing you ate in Germany? Something new that you wouldn't have normally when you visit, like Donor. Well, we ate Donor, I think, 4 times. My favorite thing in Germany, though, was every morning we got up early because we wanted to get on the train before everyone else was on the train and get to Spiel while it was quiet. I got up at 7. We met in the lobby with whoever else came, and like half the Dice Tower was there. And we went to a little breakfast place, and we ate a sandwich and a pastry. And I'll tell you, those cherry strudels are to die for. And I ate one of those for breakfast every morning, or something like that. There was a cherry. Oh my word, the one cherry thing was amazing. But I even got a plum strudel at one point, which was good, but not as good as a cherry strudel. There was all different things that we tried, right? But the cherry strudel was the best. But anyhow, and then sandwiches. And I tried a different sandwich every day, and I liked every single one of them. They were all amazing. And then I skipped lunch for the most part because I don't normally eat that much in the morning for breakfast. So it was great. And then at night, we went back downtown and ate donors for the most part. One night we went to Hans im Glück. The very last night, I went to Hans im Glück and had burgers there. And you know what? That was also fantastic. And there was also the Light Festival, so I walked around and I got a sausage sandwich 3 of the nights because why not? If I recall correctly, you were cool on the D&D RPG. About a year ago, you ran a D&D game with the Dice Tower crew. How did your experience running the 4 Coins campaign change your views on the D&D RPG? I don't know what that means. I mean, I've always thought D&D is a fine RPG. I don't run it that often. The 4 Coins, I don't know what you mean. I didn't run it. The Dice Tower RPG that I've been running for 4 Coins now is about a year that we've been running it. We haven't been particularly consistent about it just because a lot of different things have happened. But I don't think that has changed my opinion at all. I don't know exactly what you mean. I want to know what happened to the game designer of Drido who seemed a little rude to you that asked for a selfie, seemed uncomfortable. I don't even remember, honestly. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't mind taking selfies with people. Sometimes people are just joking in public, in person, back and forth, and maybe it sounds rude on camera. I don't remember anybody being rude to me, so I don't know. Luke says, also, I love that hat. Nice color, so you can say nice things about your hats. Whatever. You don't like my favorite hat. One of my favorite hats, my red hat, so you can't come back from that. When will your Marvel Multiverse heroes and villains rankings be posted? Seasons 1 and 2 were done so well. Well, here's the deal. I might do villains from the new series. I haven't decided yet. I'm still playing through everything. This week, War of Kings will go up. I'm reviewing that. So I'm getting there. I'm not going to be ranking all the multiverse heroes. What I'm going to do instead, because I'm insane, is ranking all Marvel heroes. Every single one of them. All 234 of them, or whatever the number is. It's 235 or something like that. I'm going to rank them all. So, but I need to play them all first. So look for that ranking sometime in November, December, maybe. Maybe January next year. Maybe the stretch goal. I don't know. We'll get to it. Any chance of returning to Geekway in the West in the future? Possibly. I can only go to so many cons a year, right? And I like flying into a con and having fun, but that costs money too, right? Geekway to the West does not bring in guests, and I'm not saying they should. They're doing fine without guests. But that means I need to pay money to go into Geekway to the West, which is kind of pricey. That just costs money, and I would love to see everyone there, but I just don't know if it's possible. That being said, I'm not saying someone from Dice Tower won't go to Geekway to the West at some point. Who knows? I will say this. There's a chance, we'll see, that you might see me at Origins next year. So there's that. Tom, in Europe, we're seeing editors drop the expert game segment for various reasons. Mostly because it seems to be less profitable for them and the retailers. I don't know what that means. What's an expert game segment? You have to explain that a bit. I don't know what that means. Seven Empires is a re-implementation of Imperial. Thief England is coming out soon. It's a re-implementation of Thief France. Well, I haven't seen Thief England. Maybe I have. I don't know. Seven Empires I did not realize was a re-implementation of Imperial, but who knows. I might give it a whirl because my thoughts on Imperial might have changed after 20 years. Things change. We have Marvel and soon DC United Games. Any other IPs you think would be interesting in the United Game System? I would take almost any IP. He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Image, Skybound. I don't know. There's lots. I don't know if we'll see any more. I really don't know what else is coming, but I would guess. Is Dice Tower Digest still a thing? I can't remember the last time I got one. I think Dice Tower Digest is still going out, but remember that the editor of Dice Tower Digest was in the hurricane for the last couple weeks, so I will check on that later today. Any new party games at Essen? Well, there was a lot of party games that were released there. You'll hear about them as we review them. In fact, I just went through and counted the number of party games I played this year. It was 25 party games that have come out this year. I will be doing like 6 new party games or something in a few weeks, so you'll see that too. Best designer of each decade. That's an interesting topic we might do at some point. Aren't you surprised by people's extreme reactions when you don't like their games? It seems like it's worse for them than if we're talking politics. No, it's never worse than politics. It's never worse than politics. It feels like they're desperate. I don't mind if people get mad that I don't like a game. I mean, if you're really annoying, I'll just ban you from the channel because I want the channel to be a place where people talk nicely. You can say I'm wrong. Look at the comments that we leave up. If you say I'm wrong about a game, I leave those comments up. But if you say I'm a moron and stupid and are insulting, those comments come down. If you say someone else is a moron, or, you know, we heavily moderate Dice Tower YouTube channel, and I'm thankful for that. And I realized how thankful I was for that because I was watching some live streams of the hurricane. When the hurricane hit Tampa, my daughter's in Tampa, or very close to Tampa. And so me and my wife were watching some live streams, and I saw the comment stream, and I was like, this is awful. This is like the worst. What are people saying here? So I'm glad our channel's not like that. But extreme reaction, I'm not surprised by people's extreme reactions. For a reviewer, it seems ironic you can't handle a negative review about one of your hats. That is correct. That is correct. I can't. I will say, though, that I am always amazed at, and this still happens, when people criticize me, which is perfectly reasonable. You know, Tom's fat, okay? That's true. Tom's tall. Nothing to do about that. But then they'll say things like, that stupid hat-wearing, suspender, neck beard, whatever they might say. And I mean, that stuff doesn't really bother me. And to be clear, if you're watching, Luke does make fun of my hat, but me and Luke are good friends, and I don't really care, right? Just, I'm being silly. But I do think sometimes when I look at someone insulting that, and I think, what if I said that about somebody? What if I insulted somebody based on how they looked? That seems like you would get, and some of the people who do that are some of the people who sometimes jump, and that's the first thing that they will defend if you insult someone based on how they look, and yet they do it to me, not just me, to other people. And I always found that to be odd. You know, I saw someone call me Hat Man one time online, which isn't a terrible name to wear. I get it, you don't like the fedora, but is it not the fedora, you just don't like me, and then you project how I look? I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I don't really care about that. Just something that I think about. Also, my red hat's great, Luke. You're wrong. Have you ever changed your mind completely on a game after you made a review? Yes, but very, very rarely. One year on an island with your 3 best friends from now and only one game. Which one? We probably pick some campaign game that takes hundreds of hours to play. Why not? What movies did I watch in the flights back and forth to Germany? I watched Boy Kills World. And then I watched a movie I'd already seen. I watched a couple movies I'd already seen. I didn't watch a ton of movies. I watched mostly, I didn't watch a lot of stuff. I just played on my iPad or listened to music. I like the new Apple Watch Ultra in black. I really like the new watch. It is great. The battery power is so strong on this new watch. I'm kind of mind-boggled on how good the battery power is. I'm very impressed with it. Just love the glasses. Yeah, I love these. I feel like I get sponsored by them because every time someone tells me I like my glasses, I'm like, look, it can come off. And everyone's like, what? That's amazing. It is kind of fun. It is funny, though, because I got all kinds of ones that match my different ties and everything. But in reality, I'm mostly just wearing the colored ones. Pancakes or waffles? Definitely waffles. One of them hand holds the syrup for you. I was only asking because it seemed rude of the designer to do a gotcha for. No, listen, I'll tell you this. I don't mind that. If a designer comes up and says, you didn't review my game, or you haven't reviewed my game, or whatever, that doesn't bother me because at least they're talking to me about it. I'm kind of a fan of people who are direct. I don't review everything. I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to, and sometimes stuff doesn't happen, but if you want to know why, or you're a designer, or you don't like my review, I don't mind talking about it. It's a little uncomfortable, but I'd rather that than you talk behind my back or something. What happened to the People's Choice Top 10 list? They're tricky to get up and running. I might try to do one for the next top 10 that we do. Not the next top 10. We're probably doing top 10 games that start with D. But we'll try to get one in, maybe. Where should I send a message to reach the Dice Tower? It depends what you're emailing about. But if you can always send it to tom@dicetower.com, and I'll forward it to the person who needs to talk to you about it. Do you have a favorite comedian? Not particularly. I mean, I guess I really like, the new guy who just hosted SNL, Bargatze. I like him a lot. Are you doing anything to prepare for Stormlight Archive Book 5? I'm taking a cruise with my wife, and then it comes out. The cruise starts like a week after the book comes out, so I'm going to read the book on the cruise. I'm going to sit in the deck and just read the book. Very excited about this. I started reading some of the chapters. He's releasing the chapters online. Then I was like, no, stop, Tom, you're spoiling it. Like, you'll read half the book or something before. So I stopped reading the chapters he was releasing online. But I'm prepared. Who are the 3 best friends with you on that island? Playing that campaign game, it takes hundreds of hours. Wouldn't you like to know? Because I have to live with them in every other way, too. Well, Laura would be one. Interested in new Magical Athlete being a Dice Tower Essential? Oh, I would have got it to be a Dice Tower Essential, but I didn't know how to contact the designer. I know that the game is coming out from the same folks who made Wavelength, but I haven't heard much about it after that. What is happening with the D&D campaign? It's coming back. Are there any Canadian designers that have made a notable impact on the industry? Oh, for sure. I don't know how many people are Canadian and not Canadian. But, I mean, Eric Lang and Daryl Anders are 2 very notable Canadians. So that's 2, to say 2. I often use flights to catch mediocre movies that I wouldn't care about otherwise. I agree. I often do that, too. How hard is it to get a game to be a Dice Tower Essential? Are there a lot of hurdles to jump through to get it over to a different publisher? Yeah, it's hard. I can't really tell you more than that. It has to go through me and through Arcane Wonders. Getting through me is the harder barrier, for sure. Melody says, my only argument for pancakes is I can taste berries and chocolate chips cooked in them better than I can for waffles. I'll take a chocolate chip pancake over waffle. Nope, never. I don't like the doughiness of pancakes. However, as Melody points out, being my oldest daughter, I am the only person in the Vasel household who thinks that. They all love pancakes. My wife loves pancakes. They'll make piles of pancakes. And I just don't really like pancakes that much. I don't like that doughy quality of them. The waffle has a more chewy thing to it, so I really like waffles better. But I like crepes probably better than both. John Chipper says, I like mixing dry stuffing mix in a waffle batter and eating them with sausage and gravy. I've heard of that. I have yet to try it. It seems like in the last few years we received a bunch of great racing games. Heat, Thunder Road, Joyride, Overboss won. Could we get a new ranked video for race games? That sounds like a 2025 possible top 10 list. Mike says, I'm not reading any of the chapters in advance. I've already reread everything in preparation. I also have read everything. I can wait a few more months. It's 2 months. wrote to the email you mentioned, others I found and didn't hear back. It's about a rather serious topic, so not getting any response was rather disheartening. I don't know what to tell you. It might not, I don't always answer every email I get either, and I might not think it's the same level of seriousness, and sometimes I don't answer things that there's no good answer to them, so I don't know what to tell you. When it comes to rating games, how do you decide who rates which game? We all rate games based on our own personal opinions of rating games. You all have been traveling a lot. Are you guys going to be able to sit still for a bit and power through a bunch of reviews? Well, hey, like I said, I already did 3 reviews today. I've done 3.5 because I've done the overview for a 4th review, which we will get done at some point today. We're also doing a live playthrough today of a game we haven't played before. We're doing a We'll Play It Live. And I'll get another review maybe done today. Then tomorrow we got more stuff. We got a live playthrough tomorrow morning, and then more games coming. Have you had games submitted to you that it should be in Essentials, or is it only ever you finding a game and wanting to add it to the line? Nope, both have happened, but it's almost always me finding the game. I don't want people to deliberately submit games to me for Dice Tower Essentials, but it happens. But it's hard. If you're a random person saying I have a game for the Dice Tower Essentials, I will probably not even look at it, because I don't look at any prototypes, I tell people. I don't. Except when I do, which is very, very rare. But if somebody, like, let's say you're friends with a famous designer, that designer says, Tom, you need to look at this game. It's amazing. I might. Or if someone at the Dice Tower plays the game and like, Tom, check this game out. I might. Most Dice Tower Essentials are me playing a published game from a tiny publisher and then saying, oh, this would be great to be a wider audience. Like Ito, the newest one, was from ArcLight, not a small publisher. I mean, they sold 300,000 copies of it, Ito, in Japan, but it hasn't seen the U.S. shore. And as soon as I played it, I was like, done, you know. So it's tricky. There's no real mathematical formula to it. Don't you think that mathematically, with the acceleration of game releases, being an original game will become more and more difficult? There's as many original games coming out now as there was 30 years ago. There's just more games to break through to get to that point. People often tell reviewers you never rate games lower than a 5, but don't people typically play games that they think they'll like? Sure. And that's the thing. I always tell people, right, so 5 for me means I don't like a game at all. I don't like it. Hatred comes from 4 and below. I don't have that many games hatred 4 and below because I know it well enough to avoid most games. If I was forced to review every game at Target and at Barnes & Noble, every game that came out there, if I had to review all of them, I would have tons of 2s and 3s. My hatred would know no bounds. But why should I make myself play games I know I won't like? I've done it a few times, but for the most part, whenever I play a game, there's hope. Sometimes not much, but there's at least some sort of hope. What Monopoly pieces would be in a Dice Tower edition of Monopoly? The Secret Cabal, guys, ooh, I like that. That sounds like a good top 3. I'll do that next week if I remember. For our top 3 in our Board Game Smorgasbord. What 3 custom pieces would we have in a Dice Tower themed Monopoly? Any new dexterity games being developed on your radar? Well, the new Play to Z company from Zev has the one coming out. That's actually coming out in like a month or so. The Ascending Empires. There's other dexterity games. I just got one called, what was that called? It's a synonym for steel. I forget, so I'm not sure. But yeah, there's some. I just kind of see dexterity games as they come out, and I'm like, ooh, that always looks interesting to me. Tom's version would be all cat tokens? I do not believe so at all. All right, well, that looks like it's it. It's 12:59 here, so I've been doing this for almost an hour. So I'm going to end. Oh, actually, I have been doing it for an hour. So I'm going to end this here. We will be back live in 1 hour playing. I picked the game. I don't remember what it is. Anyway, it'll be the first time we played it, so that will take us another hour or so. We'll play that. We got lots of different videos coming. I'm really excited, folks, about all the stuff we have coming from here to the end of the year. I know that we take some flack from different corners that when we go on conventions, we don't put out as much content, although I would argue for the last 2 weeks, World Series of Board Gaming and Essen, we put out as much content as we could from being at both of those. But it's critical that we go to conventions because that helps give us more content to do in the future. I also want to say a huge thank you to everybody at Essen who came by and said nice things to us. That is such an uplifting thing. You do not know how much that means to us. I really appreciate it. And I know that for many of you, I talk to you for a minute or less. And, you know, that's not always, you know, I just can't talk super long to everybody. But I really do appreciate it. Otherwise, I would stop going to conventions. We're glad to be there, and so a lot of fun. Sparks is the game we're playing in an hour. So anyhow, thank you very much, everybody. I hope that you have a fantastic day. Much more coming from the Dice Tower. We'll see you in an hour. Thanks for watching. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.